This also explains the different types of data measurements in relation to the work of people and how these are used to accurately retrieve and collate data to inform decision making. And then we have got the interpretation of common calculations and basic financial information. And finally, you can see there's the explanation of how the application of agreed procedures, policies, and sources of evidence helps to make choices and inform decisions. And coming back to Errol's point, AI does thread through this and can integrate into these areas going forward, much more going forward, of course. So the second area is to know how creating value benefits employees, customers, and the wider stakeholders. So in this element, this will explain the range of customers and stakeholders within the business. And it will also review the concept of creating value as a people professional. This concept of value is very important in today's business world and has huge significance for people, organizations, and wider stakeholders. And this element also explains how social media can enhance working practices, both internally and externally, but also including the associated risks. We all know how social media has really taken over many aspects of life. And HR really is often seen as the guardian, the gatekeeper of social communications within a corporation. And this element also explains how working as a people professional benefits other people. It's not just about social media. It's not just about digital analytics. It's also about humanity and emotional intelligence in helping people through both success situations, but also, more importantly, the difficult situations. And then, you know, at the end of all of that, to summarize how people professionals need to be customer focused and standards driven. So looking at that, let's just have any particular thoughts on that. I'll just look on chat. There's nothing on chat at the moment, so nothing there. Let's.
Dr. Paul, I got an anonymous question. I don't know who it's from coming. It says, what are the current trends of HR in the world?
Right. What are the current trends of HR in the world? The current trends, very you get trends which really are very similar, but they get different names. So talent management is still up there, i.e. how you can actually not just recruit and select, but retain people. And also the element of succession. Businesses at the moment are wanting to, as much as possible, recruit internally and to build their own talent through succession channels, through a conveyor belt, if you like, of talent. So the other one is the use of technology, and as discussed with Errol, this artificial intelligence. One of the things on the learning and development side that I'm finding myself working with companies lots on at the moment, well, two particular areas that are keeping me particularly busy are really emotional intelligence in leaders and how leaders can be able to lead transformationally through role modeling behavior. The other one is the increase an interest in well-being and how to build internal resilience, how to build human resilience as stress and pressures increase in the modern world. So lots of particular areas there, all of which are in some way covered by level 3. So that's a relatively short answer to that question, but what a question. That was a really good one. Thank you.
Yeah. Sadie has said, hi, I'm trying to move away from a desk-based role to a more people-facing role. What areas of HR should I be looking to?
Hello, Sadie. Hello. Hello. When you say desk-based role, I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Good.
I switched jobs completely during all the COVID company movements and ended up doing quite an administrative role, which is not suiting me super well.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm happier with people-facing roles, but HR has appealed to me for some time.
Yeah.
So I was wondering which areas I should be aiming for more.
Yeah. That's a really interesting one, Sadie. And you mentioned, before I answer that question, but you did mention really around lockdown and what's happened, of course, is with lockdown and is that there's been this growth in remote working and hybrid working. So that in itself is presenting a challenge, as one of the trends in HR is to help leaders and managers manage in the different world that we have through this area. But coming to your question, I think, one of the roles that moving from that admin-based, figures data-based to a people-focused one would be what we call in HR a business partner. So this is an HR business partner, and level 3 is an ideal qualification to move into that HR business partner territory. Have you heard of the term HR business partner, Sadie? I'm not sure whether you've been involved in that kind of area.
Briefly, not really. Yeah. I'm not very sure what it is.
No, that's fine. That's fine. But HR business partner is really, it's a little bit away from the strategy of HR. So it's actually someone who works, if you like, at the coalface, at the front line of the company, working with people, helping managers with practical problems around performance management, around recruitment, around motivation, around training. So very much an HR business partner interprets strategy and helps managers put that strategy into practical use. So I think that would be quite an interesting role for you.
Right. Yes, that does sound interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, and level 3 would be very aligned to that, Sadie. My pleasure. Right. Keep the questions coming. Okay, so some really good points there around those areas. And
sorry, Dr. Paul, quickly before you moved on, Errol said, I agree and have the same ambition as Sadie. I'm moving from a desk-based role to people-facing. However, I see the need and power of data and AI. Do you know how I would marry the two together?
Yeah, well, that is an interesting question, because when you almost say technology and when you say people, very often we think of the two as different, don't we? But from my past experience, I was very much in a people role, and it was back in, we're going back now to when IT started to really impact big time on businesses. And it was back when the online direct channels were coming into practice. And as an expert, as a specialist in business, I had to work with IT people to create, design, to test applications. So I think there are lots of opportunities to actually develop that hybrid, if you like, that that bridge between technologists and people professionals. But of course, to do that, you've got to get in and jump into the pool of that people professional pool as well. And these things come up. Interest, it's funny, it's interesting in life. I've always found that things follow interest. And it's clear, Errol, that you're very passionate about this area. And it's just about picking the career choice for you. Whatever career choice that be, and if it be HR, there will be a technological impact on it, which you can actually build and drive through. Okay, I'll just go back to the next one and we'll pick up some more questions at the end of that. Right, so this is element 3. And this is about core behavior. So if you like, this is the more softer side of that people aspect. And this covers really core behaviors really around that area in terms of how people professionals should behave and how they can be bringing in innovation to challenging situations. And of course, this well-being I talked about as being a trend, that resilience of well-being and inclusivity. So this element looks at different approaches to customer focus using ethical principles. And remember, for an HR professional, customers will come in various forms. There will be a range of stakeholders. So let's have a look at the first element. So this is understanding insightful approaches to supporting and maintaining ethics and professional practice. And this is increasingly important in today's modern world when brands, really many brands are based on ethical policies. So this will look at the specific ways in how you need to conform to relevant regulations and law within the context of ethics and professional practice. And also to summarize ways of demonstrating engagement, positive working relationships with colleagues, and how to clarify problems or issues, how to contribute your views and opinions, and how to build and work effectively as part of a team. I mean, very often HR are asked to play the mediator, to play the negotiator, to bring people together. And this is a particularly very important area. So the second part of this is around promoting respect and inclusivity. And sometimes this takes professional courage and a passion for learning, an open, a growth mindset, an open mind. So again, this will look at the meaning of ethics and really get students to think about the concepts of personal and professional integrity and to model ways in which you can acknowledge sensitivity and respect others within a working context. It will give you time to reflect on the ways in which you can actually accept failure as a learning process, and also to be empathetic to others and to yourself. And look at ways in which you can not just build inquisitiveness from your own perspective, but also from building innovation, inquisitiveness, curiosity around you in the workplace. And therefore, to do that, that final piece there, 5, is to reflect on proactive approaches to reflection on looking back, retrospective, to developing, recording and reflecting, whether that be in terms of knowledge, skills or experience. So that was a particularly interesting one. And let's see if there's anything on chat there that anybody wants to come in on, either about that or indeed about maybe anything that you've noted over the previous two elements. So just
I can't see any questions at the moment that maybe people are thinking, or
that's fine.
But if you don't have any at the moment, guys, that's okay, because we do have the designated question and answer, like, bigger section later, don't we?
Yeah, of course. Anybody who hasn't come into the room who can use their mic, does anybody want to say hello or maybe tell us a little bit about your journey?
Sadie's just raised her hand, actually.
Hi, Sadie.
Right?
Hello again. I was just going to ask, because it's so people-focused parts of HR, is a psychology foundation useful within this?
Absolutely. You know, the principles of psychology link. In fact, I think you would put psychology into the overall umbrella of HR practice. So sometimes in specific terms, companies hire psychologists, but they do so through HR. But in terms of maybe a background in psychology, whether that be a degree or similar, then the principles of psychology, the principles of reflection, of empathy, of emotional understanding all come into play, not least in terms of psychoanalysis and psychometrics, which are often used for succession and for recruitment. Sadie, tell me why you asked that.
I was interested in doing both courses, in doing HR and some sort of basic foundation in psychology. I think I'm just not sure at the moment which direction I want to move in, but HR seems to encompass both. I think the two do link. You're almost going down a specialist area in parallel, if you like. So you're getting the platform knowledge in personnel in that area of HR, and your psychology, you're building up that the softer aspects of human behavior. And really, if people follow their interests, they tend to do better than if they don't, Sadie. So that sounds good. Whether you do them together or whether you do them in a different way, I don't know, because that depends upon time, energy and commitment, doesn't it? Sure. I think I'll try the HR foundation and see how I go.
Yeah, but it's definitely one that you could branch out into. It's not totally linked to artificial intelligence, but I do a lot of psychoanalysis for HR departments using psychometrics, and that really links to the psychological background that you're talking about. Great. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sadie. Okay, so let's just move on there and we'll come back to the Khalid. Sorry, before we move on, I've got this chat message. Thank you, Khalid, for that message. Yes, social sciences is a superb background fit, isn't it? And I think it would be optimizing the learning you did over 2 or 3 years there in terms of using that in an HR role. That makes sense, and it would add, I think, to it certainly adds up. That is one of the degrees that you will see a lot in HR professionals. Thanks, Khalid.
Sorry, quickly before we move on as well,
yes.
Dr. Paul, an anonymous one said as well, something about like the effects of COVID-19 and remote working, and then downsizing of like HR, how to overcome like these kind of challenges, and you know, having that modern like HR practice now.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting question. There are many people who are managers who do level 3. And I know many managers at the moment are struggling, or certainly finding it challenging, managing a remote workforce, managing a hybrid workforce. And there's two things at play here. HR level 3 and similar beyond that will give you both the softer aspects to managing that people who maybe don't want to come back to the workplace would rather do remote working, the softer aspects of encouraging and motivating them to move back into that. And the harder aspects, of course, is about legislation and the law. And so it is balancing both the softer and the harder aspects of that question, I think. So yes, I can see those links and the importance of HR knowledge in terms of helping people manage in a remote or hybrid working environment. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Paul.
Pleasure. So let's just move on now to the final element and keep thinking about those questions. And this is essentials of people practice. So this is very much about practical aspects of people practice. And that's why this is the biggest element of the 4. So you will see that this is because it's the pragmatic piece, really, of it. And it's about the fundamentals of people practice, whether that's employee life cycle and linking that to policies, regulation, and law. It starts to look at the specializations that are available in terms of recruitment, talent management, reward, learning and development. These are areas that people, once they have got the platform, can decide to move into. Or you can stay generic as an HR business partner or a generalist in terms of, it's a bit like a doctor. Some doctors specialize and become surgeons and doctors in hospitals. Other doctors become general practitioners. And it's the same in HR. You can be a general HR practitioner, knowing a little about a lot and knowing when to go to the specialist, or you can decide to become a specialist, whether that be in reward and recognition, or in talent management, or in recruitment, or indeed other areas. So in this element, you'll learn these skills around the various areas that we've just discussed. And so the employee life cycle is particularly important because, just like demographics, we have now the new people coming into the workforce are the Gen Zs, the Gen Zs. They are there to, they're coming in now, they've done their degrees, they're just coming into the workforce. And at the other end, there are still some baby boomers there who are leaving. And in the middle, you've got primarily millennials. And all of this needs managing. And managers and leaders tend to be millennials, at least millennials. And therefore, they have to manage the new generation coming into the workforce. And there could be differences. But it's also about recruitment processes and getting information around that employee life cycle that will help the business. And indeed, of course, that different materials and methods to attract individuals into a range of roles. And then we've got this contribution to selection. And this is where we talked about psychology earlier, and Sadie, and we talked about psychoanalytics and psychometrics. And all of that is very important in recruitment, selection, succession. And this element looks at those areas, the criteria, the shortlisting, the selection interviews, the decision making, which generally today involves basically psychometric data, and also the records that are needed to be retained and the contractual issues around appointment and non-appointments. You have to handle these issues in line with legal protocols. And that brings us on to that legislation and the organizational practices that affect employment relationships. So, explaining the importance of work-life balance, this concept of work-life balance is changing. I mentioned the generational differences, and I mentioned baby boomers, people born in the 50s and the 60s. And really, it was very much about work than life for the majority of the workforce. And working hours were 50 hours, and sometimes, overtime was extensively placed on that as well. And when you look at now at the extreme end of that with the Gen Zs, what you're looking at is a completely different view of that. Life is to be lived and work helps you to live it. And building and marrying that is a role of HR, really, to do so. You've got the millennials in the middle there. And we talked about the lockdown and COVID, and this has created a shift in the workforce expectations. I work with many businesses, and it's clear that these businesses, for office-based roles, for administration-based roles, for technological roles, for roles that could be done online via Zoom or Teams or Google, all of these has created this major shift to people wanting to spend more time at home, whether pursuing their interest to get rid of the commuter run. And of course, businesses want people together to some extent to build teams, to build creativity, to build innovation. Very difficult to be innovative on your own. And so there's this movement that's come to what we now call, I think, hybrid working. And it's balancing that, because if you do work from home, there is still many challenges around work-life balance and expectations, especially if, for example, you have a family. So this is an area that will look at that, the concept of well-being in the workplace and how employee engagement can be maintained and increased, whatever the working environment. And working in a solo capacity, engagement can be harder sometimes than working in a team environment. We'll also look there at legislation in terms of discrimination and look and understand the broad range of diversity and inclusivity, and the more contractual issues around fair and unfair dismissal, including redundancies, change of jobs, change of roles, etc. So legislation does play its part in this module. And then performance management, a very important topic. I work a lot around performance management with companies, and it is changing. I don't know from your own jobs. I'll be interested to have a chat with you after this presentation around your experiences of performance management, because it's shifted from now perhaps one meeting a year, which goals were set at the beginning of the year, and then there was a meeting at the end of the year to say, oh, well, you're done. And that's how it used to be, to now to having a much more flexible, more drop-in meetings, more discussions, so there are no surprises, and also that you learn, whether that be quarterly reviews or monthly reviews, that you learn as you move through the year, rather than wait till the end and be told how things are. So performance management, very important role, one that is building lots of different approaches currently, and also can be influenced by legislation. You never should sit down to someone's performance appraisal and give them a surprise. Anything that should be discussed there should more or less be flagged up throughout the year at some point. So we'll look at explaining the factors that need to be considered when managing performance, and explain the role of appraisal in that performance management area. And then there's reward, how to use reward to attract, motivate, and retain individuals. And here we will look at the total reward system. Again, reward has very much moved from what was prior to 20 years ago, for example, 30 years ago, it was just a pay packet. It was just money you received. In some jobs, it still is. But in terms of global companies and big corporates, they talk about total reward system. They talk about flexibility. They will build into a total reward statement, pensions, holidays, benefits, health benefits, and all of those areas around pay. Because when you're trying to recruit people, sometimes people look at the bottom line of salary, and sometimes a salary can be more than the one you're on at the moment. But the benefits can actually bring that salary back up to what other people are offering, if not exceed it. So a company with benefits plus a salary, a lower salary, could still have a better reward package than a company with high salaries. And this is a really critical area for HR to be involved in. And again, it's influenced by legislation, but also looking between the relationship between performance management, the one that we just covered, and reward is also critical. How do you reward high performance? How do you reward above average performance? And how do you keep it fair? How do you keep it really transparent as well? And then understanding how to support others to develop skills and knowledge. And this is really around learning and development, and how learning and development, the transfer of knowledge, can help, whether that be through facilitation, consulting, training, coaching, and mentoring. My specialist area is around coaching and working with leaders and managers on how they can be better at leading and managing. And also to make sure that you're not just doing a sort of one bland, generic approach, that it is really aligned to individual requirements and preferences. And all of that is taken into account in the design. But also, you have to evaluate and measure training. There is little point of providing training, even if it's a great experience, and I'm sure we've all had great experiences in the training room, but how do you evaluate and how do you analyze that training? Okay, so just see if there are any questions there that anybody wants to ask. Nothing on chat?
No, not as far as I can see at the moment. Yeah, do you have any questions at the moment, guys, or do you want to wait until a bit more information? Let us know.
Yeah, let me know, and let Natalie know, and we'll come back into the room and talk through those. Great, thank you. So I'll move on for now, and we will come to that point really where we can wrap up with questions. So when we look at that, we've got the 4 elements we've walked through now. And I did at the start set you a little bit of a challenge, or certainly personal focus, which was think about how these areas can link to your experience already. We've heard Sadie talk, and Leanne and Errol talk about, and Khalid talk about how they can see links and how they can see a consistency, how they can see a thread from what they do now and what they know now to build that as well. So that's really interesting. And whether that be in business culture and changing context, or analytics, or core behaviors, or essentials of people practice. So really just to look at that learning structure, when you register for the course program, there will be live online video lessons. You will, of course, have a professional tutor. You will get an accredited CIPD certification. And all of this will involve direct lessons and tutor interaction with many more question and answer sessions. And of course, there'll be lots of additional supporting content for self-study. Okay, I think at this point now, I'll, Natalie, if you could do that transfer. But if there are any further questions before we move on to the next phase, then I'll be happy to take those.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Dr. Paul. Okay, if there's no questions at the moment, we'll move on and then we can come back to some questions in a little while.
Thank you.
So yes, I think the video is here now, isn't it? All right, so I will show you this quick video, everyone, and then I'll be passing over to Shallow. Hold on a minute. There we go.
Established in 2012, Global Edulink is a pioneer in online education. We've been there from the beginning. Our experience and expertise have seen us through to the next generation of students. We've been recognized for our exceptional courses and outstanding customer service. Our students, both past and present, have achieved an excellent education at Global Edulink. Our courses are extensive and learners have the opportunity to select from a wide range covering every subject in every field. Our experienced and certified tutors will provide exceptional video training and course materials. Our learners can choose the most convenient and flexible learning method to progress in their academic goals. With a plethora of materials and resources, our learners can rely on Global Edulink to go the distance in providing up-to-date training sessions. We are accredited to recognized awarding organizations who have partnered with us on this journey. Learners will be awarded professional standard qualifications from national and international awarding organizations. What are you waiting for? Join over 480,000 learners and complete your academic education at Global Edulink. Register with us and start taking courses that will give you a new skill, refresh your knowledge, or enable you to pursue a high-paying job in any industry. With the goal to empower, Global Edulink provides learners with a strong foundation to achieve immense growth and great success in the future.
Okay, so just wanted to say thank you again to Dr. Paul for all the information beforehand, and we had some really good questions asked, so that's good. All right, so I'll be handing over to Shallow now, everyone, our course advisor, to tell you a little bit more about Global Edulink and how it can help you. So Shallow, are you there?
I'm here. I hope you can hear me, Natalie.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thanks, Natalie, and thank you very much, Dr. Paul. That was a very interesting session. So I just started taking notes myself there, and quite interested in the question and answer session as well. Thank you very much for that. So good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for taking the time to join the CIPD introduction webinar hosted by Global Edulink. My name is Michelle Rabel. I'm one of the course advisors at Global Edulink. And if I had, by chance, have spoken to any of you, it's interesting to put a voice to the name, really. So it's lovely to meet all of you today. I really hope that you found this session useful and informative, just like I have, although I have no background in CIP, HR or L&D, but it's quite interesting to hear Dr. Paul talk. And I also believe that it have given you the confidence to start the CIPD program and possibly explore new career opportunities. And also some of you have already been exposed to HR roles at the moment. So let me start now by giving you a brief introduction to Global Edulink. So let me just put on the slide, the first one here. So Global Edulink is a leading training provider in the UK, supporting learners all across the globe. We are an authorized training provider of several UK regulated courses. We work with recognized awarding bodies, including the CIPD, there's PeopleCert, Pearson BTEC, ATHE, and CMI. So we do have a host of courses on our learning platform. So there's over 1,000 courses that we provide at the moment. Again, this is in support of learners from various professional and academic backgrounds. So I'm also proud to say that we have a global learner pool of over 480,000. I think they're just discounting every day. So it must be close to 500 at the moment, really 500,000 of global learner pool. So we've been in the education service industry for over 10 years. So you can be confident that when you sign up, you are working with an experienced learning provider. And so just want to give you a quick update as well on what are the benefits you're going to receive from Global Edulink once you sign up, or why should you choose us, really. So at Global Edulink, we believe in giving a flexible learning environment because we do offer courses which are online, catering to working professionals and part-time students. So we have unlimited course access. Especially for the CIPD program, it's 12 months unlimited, along with tutor support during this entire period. So that is something that we are proud of, that we're able to provide this particular support to learners, especially in complex programs such as the CIPD and also our project management and business management courses as well. So we provide learning support and assignment support. So what this includes is the course includes the video lessons, pre-recorded, which just like Dr. Paul mentioned, so which means you're getting, apart from the video lessons, you're also getting your lecture notes, your tutorials, and course activities. So that's something that you will receive as soon as you sign up for our courses from day one onwards. And also we do provide you with assignment support. Now, this is interesting because this means you're receiving formative and summative feedback for all your assignments, and our mentors will work with you on any difficult topics or concerns that you have. So this is another additional advantage with Global Edulink, as it is we only work with qualified tutors and accredited learning professionals. So that's something that you can be rest assured that you're getting the best support that's available. So in terms of the assignments as well, as soon as you sign up for the course, you will receive an assignment planner from us. So you would find out what are the submission deadlines, what are the dates that you need to work around. And if you're someone who's planning to fast track your program, then you can certainly work with our tutors and customize your plan. Or if you're someone who's got the time and you want to take it slow, you can obviously do that as well, because we do have 12 months course access on these programs. So in terms of membership, and that's something that we keep getting a lot of questions on. So it's mandatory that you have a CIPD membership to start the program, because that's how we can get your qualifications awarded, and also we can get your assignment submitted to CIPD. So we provide a CIPD membership with our course, which is up until June 2024. So you get a longer CIPD membership, so to make sure that you've got the flexibility of either finishing the course sooner or taking that extra time. So that's available with our courses. And we also do have HR topic related pre-courses. So that's about worth £150. These are in addition to what you're receiving in the CIPD program, further support with your learning activities there. And all of this comes with a discounted course fee and also this affordable pay monthly plan. Which when I say pay monthly plan, which means that you can obviously start the course for just £99, which is your first initial payment, and then you get full access to everything that's there, the course materials, the video lessons, all your assignment support, and everything. And you can break down the remaining payment in 5 or 6 monthly installments. So we will, our course advisor will work with you and see how you can do that. So if you are interested in this particular plan, please get in touch. So that's an affordable plan where you don't have to wait till you've got a bigger savings, because the course fee itself is quite heavy on anyone's pocket. So we do have this plan for you to work with you. So that's some of the benefits that I can talk to you about the CIPD program at Global Edulink. You can also read our learner reviews in Trustpilot. We're also on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. So there are information that you can get from our existing learners, also information that we upload on any of our new courses or existing programs. So one other thing I want to highlight is that after this program, as a thank you to all our participants, we're providing a 3-day free demo access to the program. So you can watch all the video lessons, get an idea, get a taste of what it's going to be, so that you can make an informed decision on, you want to sign up for the CIPD program or not. As soon as this webinar is over, you will get the links from the course team. That's something that you can make use of. So that's just a quick update from me here at Global Edulink on what is there and who we are. I'm also going to quickly share a little video on the course website, just to see if you've already been to our website, you would have known what this is. So again, let me see if I can play this video there. So we are at www.globaledulink.co.uk. Natalie playing the video for me. Thanks, Natalie. So yeah, so there you can find all our top courses. So that CIPD is right on top as one of the popular learning provider there. We have our Prince 2 programs, CMI programs, and there's a host other programs that's available, and all our awarding body information and Trustpilot reviews on the website for you to take a look at. And here's some of the brands that we work with. And there you go. So all the awarding bodies, and there's our contact information. So we also have a live chat. So if you ever visit our website and you're just trying to find certain information, just ping us on the chat, and then we should be able to answer your questions. Our customer services department can help you do that. So that's just about, I think the video's playing again. Right, thanks, Natalie. So there you go, and that's our contact information for you. So please keep in touch, and that's something that I tell in every webinar. I'm sure life takes on, and we kind of sometimes tend to forget things that we hear, or plans that we have for education. Maybe let's not let that happen here. So please do get in touch. Email us. There's a phone number. There's also an option where we will get in touch with you after this program, so you should be able to then respond to those emails, and there's a WhatsApp connection as well. So any questions you have, we will be more than happy to explain, answer, and we can also invite you for our other upcoming CIPD webinars in the future, so that you can ask your questions and get further information clarified. So yeah, I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to just open the floor for questions. Natalie, is that right?
Yeah, thank you, Shallow. Thanks for that information there. Hopefully you guys took that on, because yeah, it can be a really good place to study and have that flexibility. So yes, now we are at the time of the sort of official question and answer session. I know some of you have asked quite a lot of questions already, and I think some people have to go early. Oh, and just to say, I think we had a problem with the recording function today, so I think it started about, I don't know, a quarter of the way in, but you will receive a recording of this webinar afterwards. So for the people who had to leave early, they'll also get access to that. But yeah, here we are at the question and answer session. So thanks to everyone who could stay to the end as well. So if you've got any questions, feel free to raise your hand, take yourself off mute, or type it in the Q&A chat box if you'd prefer, and I can read it out. So yeah, let us know, everyone. Sadie, hey.
Just unmute. I was going to ask, are there any additional materials that we would need for the course, for example, books?
Yeah, I could take that question. So all the required materials will be provided to you, and once you sign up for the program, you are also a student member of CIPD. So you have learning support or reading materials that's available as a CIPD member. There are special access to the learning portal. In CIPD, there's a learning hub. where you can download and read information there. So that's available for you. So everything comes with it. So I mean, again, it's up to you if you are interested in reading outside of information that's outside of the course, but definitely whatever that you require is provided within the program. Dr. Paul, is that correct answer there?
Yeah, absolutely. Just to add to that, I'm a fellow of the CIPD, and being a student member gives you access to incredible amounts of content, and it's all very much up to date content. So it's breaking news content around HR and the people profession. So absolutely, I think that's a really big plus around the CIPD membership, because there's lots of resources on that site. Definitely.
Good to know. Thank you.
Thanks, Sadie. Oh, any other questions, guys? If you don't have any questions at the moment, I know we've asked quite a lot already, then we have a couple frequently asked questions that we can go through, but we'll just see if you have any more questions. And some of them might have already been answered on that slide, but yeah, now's the chance if you have any last minute questions.
Is anyone on the program right now that's here that you have any questions you want to ask? If you've not already signed up.
Yeah, exactly. Just double checking the boxes. No, I can't see anything. Okay, well, should we maybe just go through a couple of, or see if any of the frequently asked questions have been answered, and if they haven't, then maybe we could look at a couple. Sorry, I was just double checking. I thought something had to come through. Yeah. Or before I move on to FAQs, yeah, are there any last minute questions, guys? As you know, this is sort of like the last chance to get your own sort of personalized questions answered, like tailored to you. Or maybe everyone's got a lot from the questions that's already been answered. Okay, well, if you guys are still thinking, I'll just move on to this. I might just reveal all of them, and we can see what's maybe if some have been done and some haven't. Don't know how many it goes up to on here actually. Oh, yeah, I went a step too far. Yes, so
I'll just pick a question here. Yeah. So again, how the question is like, what are the entry requirements? I think Dr. Paul has already covered that, but that's one of the frequent questions that we receive. Number 3, what are the entry requirements for the CIPD qualification? So there are no formal entry requirements as it is. Anyone who's currently in HR and L&D functions, or anybody interested to start a career there, you can enroll. But I mean, if you do have experience or background in HR and learning and development, it's an added advantage. You come with that experience, so it works out well for you. But all we look for is you're able to understand the language and also have ICT knowledge. So, just be able to use the learning platform, just a bit of IT knowledge, and that's about it. So that's basically what we are looking for before you enroll. Is there anything specific, Dr. Paul?
Yeah, I'd just pick up on question number 9, really, and to say that, in my opinion, really, the CIPD, that today we have so many multinational corporations that span many countries across Europe, UK and Europe Union, and effectively, I think the CIPD is the foremost HR qualification in that UK and European Union zone. So it definitely is a recognised qualification, and really, in my opinion, an essential qualification for people professionals in the UK, certainly, and is transferable in many aspects, especially multinational corporations that operate across countries.
Great, thanks, Shalom and Dr. Paul, for those questions there. I just wanted to say as well, guys, I forgot to say before, as we're sort of coming towards the end, at the end of the webinar, you guys will shortly receive a survey link as well, so you can let us know how you found today's webinar, how we got on, and especially as this is our first CIPD one, so yeah, it'll definitely be good to get some feedback off of you guys. But yeah, so far they've been going down well, which is great. Okay, so I think I got another anonymous question. Does the new HR trends fairly treat the employees in modern day business?
Right. Shall I take that one, shall I? Yeah. Yeah. I think this is a very difficult question to answer, because we talk about a trend, so therefore it's where the momentum is, right? I mean, there are always going to be specific companies doing this and specific companies doing that. So, but if you talk about the multinationals and the bigger companies and the generic trends that we're looking at, then definitely think that certainly in the current environment, there is a great appreciation for talent, and really with the high employment figures, it's really important that companies look after people within their company and provide flexible working arrangements, because in my experience, the best talent will walk and will leave if they don't get something similar to what best practice is within the marketplace. So I think the trend is, yes, towards appreciating employees, but of course you will always find examples where that may not be the case. So but the general trend, I think, is very much around HR and the impact of HR in a positive way rather than in any negative or attritional way.
Definitely. Okay, thank you, Dr. Paul, for that. Yeah, has anyone else got any other questions or want to take themselves off mute or anything? Or if not, I think there's a few more questions on here that's popping up. So I'll just get these on and we can see if we've answered any of them already. Does this go up to 20? Yes. Actually, I was going to say some of these are kind of for you, Shallow, but then Dr. Paul might be able to answer a couple as well.
Yeah, we've picked up, I think, most of those. I think from my point of view, from a CIPD perspective, that is really the route is already integrated into this program, which is brilliant. I think that's a real big plus. And we've discussed how CIPD membership can really provide, I mean, the materials that I get, I get many of my materials from the CIPD, and student members get access to those similar materials. And the extension of a CIPD student membership is pretty routine approach once you've decided you want to move forward in that sphere.
Great, thank you, Dr. Paul. Okay, so just double checking. Yeah, does anyone have any last minute questions? I can see who we've got in the room. Khalid, Nikila, Sadie. I know you've asked to speak tonight. Shaquille or Audrey. You guys are the final one standing. You're still standing. Any other questions that you have left after tonight's webinar whilst we're here?
Yeah, and I'd also like to remind you, if you think of a question now, and if something that you pop up later on, just don't hesitate. Drop us an email. It's sales@globaleduLink.co.uk, or it's inquiries@globaleduLink.co.uk, and we should be able to get those questions answered from our tutors. If you want a specific question from Dr. Paul, I'm sure Dr. Paul will be happy to answer those as well. So we'll get them responded to you. So don't worry about that. Keep in touch, and that's what I keep telling all the learners here, all the webinar participants. We can help you further.
Yeah, thank you for that, Shallow. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's always good to remind you guys that if you can't think of any questions now or something pops into your head, then yeah, you can always drop us an email. I've got a couple questions coming in. What is the next step in CIPD for HR career?
Okay, I'll just put some input in on that. What experience, is that what we're looking at? What experience do you need for HR roles? Or is it just qualification? That's the one I've got. Natalie, is that different to yours?
Oh yeah, I think someone messaged me directly, but don't worry. Yeah, yeah, you can answer what experience you need for HR roles.
Yeah, I'll come on to the other one. But basically, every role is different, and many people do enter the HR profession at different stages. The key thing is that some measure of qualification is normally necessary. So therefore, if you are going to go for an HR role, say you're an administrator, for example, in a marketing office, and you want to be moving into an HR office, your first role might be to go for administrative role in HR office, but having that qualification then puts you very much at the front of the pack. So I think really it's both. But it doesn't have to be, because you can also, it's transferable. So you don't need experience in HR, but it's your transferable skills that will get you the role plus your qualification.
Great, thank you, Dr. Paul. Okay, are there any other questions, everyone? Or do you think you've got everything covered? If you do, you can maybe put a thumbs up in the chat or something. Or if you do have any last minute questions, then go ahead.
How fast can you do it? I've just picked up one there. That's a difficult question, of how fast you can do it. I mean, I always, when I was in my career, in terms of when I was working in a company, I had people, very ambitious people, come up to me and say, I want your job. How can I get it? And I always used to say, just be me, be the behavior of that job. So a lot of it is down to ambition, isn't it? But definitely in today's marketplace, certainly I'm speaking about the UK now. So it could be different in other parts of the world. But certainly in the UK, there is a dearth of talent at the moment, of skills. Obviously, opportunities are definitely out there. I mean, the other question there, Natalie, I'll pick up if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Based on your experience, when is the time right to decide either to go general HR or speciality? Again, this is a tricky one. But generally, people go into HR, they learn the platform skills of HR, the generic skills of HR, and then after a few years, they move into speciality. It's not always the case. It can be done differently, especially if my career, for example, I went into HR at executive level. So I'd done my career, large part of my career, management career, in sales, marketing, and operations. So it does depend. But generally, you learn the platform skills, and then you decide which of those platform skills you prefer to specialize. So I think maybe that could be within 3 to 5 years of going into HR. And there's one there for you, I think, Shallow, there, the qualification. Is there any exam or coursework alone?
Yeah, that's right, Dr. Paul. I'll pick that there. So there is no exam. This qualification is only coursework. So there are assignments. So you just looked at the 4 units that Dr. Paul covered. So there will be an assignment or a coursework after each unit. And it will be written, and there'll be also some case studies that you'll be required to do. So all of them are written assignments with a certain number of word requirements. So you have about 700 to 1,500 words. I think that's the maximum. So that's how the coursework is. But like I said, we do have a complete tutor support. So you're never alone. You're getting feedback from our tutors continuously, in terms of your assignment submissions or any points that need coaching. There is mentoring support available as well throughout the program. So I can assure you that that support, although it's a self-study program, there is tutor and mentoring support available. And I think Shakil, as a second part to your question, isn't it? So you wanted to know how fast can you do the qualification? Is that correct? So the duration, what we planned the assessments for 7 months. So dividing the number of units that we have, there's an assessment planner for 7 months. However, you can take longer because the course access is provided for 12 months. So once you sign up, you can work with the tutor and plan on how quickly you want to finish it. But we recommend that you take the 6 to 7 month period because there's a whole lot of things you've got to learn, read, and make sure you complete those guided learning hours with the tutor. So we recommend a 6 to 7 month period. There's 12 months course access, so you can plan your study period according to that and work with the tutor definitely. I hope that answered your question there.
Thank you, Shallow. Yeah, so are there any final questions, everyone? We've gone through most of the frequently asked questions now. Yeah. Any last minute ones? But today's been a good session. Everyone's been really involved, which is nice.
We're right on time as well, so that's perfect.
Yeah, literally. Well, if there's no more questions, guys, I will probably just wrap up. But if you have any questions as I'm speaking, then feel free to interrupt me. But let me just double check. Bear with me. How's everyone's days been anyway? Have you been at work today, everyone? Okay. All right. So, yeah, well, I will move on to the end because I think everyone's asked quite a lot of questions tonight. So thank you again, everyone, for joining our webinar tonight. It was our first CIPD one, as we said, so we were really excited to begin that one tonight, and we should have some more coming up soon. So thank you again, Dr. Paul, for all your knowledge tonight, sharing that, and thank you for Shallow, always sharing the knowledge on our studying platforms. So yeah, thanks once again, everyone. Hopefully see you soon, and we will be sending out the links and the surveys and the recording to this. So yeah, see you soon. Take care.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
All the best, everyone.